we are going to talk all about light code activations. This ascension is happening whether we know about it or not, whether you're aware of it or not, or whether you're on board with it or not. This transition is happening. It's an awakening for so many people. That's why the manifestations happening like this. People are like, I thought one bad thing and this happened to me. I thought one amazing thing and all of a sudden I manifested this great thing. So we get caught up in this energy frequency of illusion. And it's our ego. We've given our ego so much power. Now, there's nothing wrong with the ego. And we have to recognize that the ego is just part of our experience here. It's not good or bad. It's just part of our experience, just like our higher consciousness is part of our experience. But the ego doesn't see beyond its projections. Let me repeat that. The ego never ever sees beyond its projections, meaning what it sees out into the world. How I don't like you, so you're a bad person. That projection comes from the ego. That's all the ego can see, right? But our higher consciousness, that's a whole different ballgame. That does see beyond the illusion, does see beyond the projections of the ego. So when you see, wow, everyone's love, I just see love emanating from everybody, and you're in this state of bliss, that is when you're connected more to your higher consciousness than from your ego consciousness. And both are legitimate, both are part of our experiences here, but one does not negate the other. They are both here, right? We experience both. Neither is wrong, neither is right. They're just both two different experiences. And sometimes it makes us crazy. I know sometimes for me, I'm like, how come I was like in this bliss state yesterday and today I'm all stressed out and worried about something? Yeah, duh, go to your heart, Melissa. That's how I tell myself, like, okay, take a second and go to your heart. Sometimes if I do a lot of physical activity and I have a lot going on in my life, I need time to regroup and I don't give myself that time. I'm like, okay, wait a minute, take a moment, go back in your heart, regroup, remember your frequency matters. I don't beat myself up over it. I don't get mad at myself. I don't tell myself I'm a bad person of it. I understand that this is part of the ascension. Part of the ascension is to understand the ego's energy and frequency and lower frequencies, and understand and know higher frequencies like higher consciousness, bliss, love, oneness. Both are important for your ascension. Both are important for your ascension. You can't ascend to a higher frequency if you don't understand what a lower frequency is. Both are just as legitimate. Okay, so your own personal ascension, right? So you have a collective ascension and your personal ascension. That's when you start to anchor in your own higher consciousness more. It's guiding you. It's bringing you more to an awareness of who you truly are, regardless of the physical form, regardless of your thoughts, regardless of your genealogy, regardless of your past lives, who you truly are, with or without those experiences. So this higher consciousness starts to anchor in more and more as we raise our frequency and as we move through our personal ascension. Personal ascension is all about transformation and transmutation. And that's an inner thing. Ascension has nothing to do with the world around you, nothing to do with who you are. What kind of energy you're putting out there is more important than how other people perceive you. Your transformation, you are the transformational energy system. Your inner work is how you are going to ascend. Now, yes, I do believe, not saying this is true or not true, anything I tell you, I don't believe that it is truth or the ultimate truth. I really do believe in the alchemical understanding that everything is a little bit of a half truth. We're coming from the egoic energy system, and we can't say that that's absolute truth. We really don't understand absolute truth living in a physical form, at least at this frequency. But for me, how I see it is that there are beings who are working with the ascension. Now, there are guides, angels, ascended masters, right? So let's look at them in a way of where they fit into the ascension process. Guides and angels help us when we are really a low frequency and really need guidance when we are not as spiritually awake. Once we become a little bit spiritually awake, guides and angels help us. As we raise our frequency, more ascended masters and goddess vibrations or archetypes come through. They start working with us as individuals. Once we work with more of the collective energy, like as teachers or as vibrational leaders, then I believe that we work with more collective consciousnesses. So, this collective consciousness, I call them the Ascension Masters, not ascended, Ascension Masters. And the reason I distinguish between the two, which they tell me I don't really need to do that, I distinguish it for you. For me, I know exactly who I'm talking about, but I'm distinguishing it for you to understand. These Ascension Masters, they are a collective consciousness. They work with your individual council, like Council of 12, Council of 13, sometimes Council of 21. These councils, the individual, are made up of ascended masters and guides. And the ascension masters are working with the collective of the ascension. It's the collective. They only work with me personally when I am working with a group of people, when I am teaching in some way, when I am sharing the knowledge. That's when they come in. They don't come in and say, "Hey, Melissa, do you want to meet this new guy?" That's not what they're here for. They're not here for the Melissa who is the human, unfortunately. But that's not what their frequency is about. Their frequency is all about the collective ascension. And I respect that, man. I do not call on them to ask them for a parking space, right? Like, I respect that they have worked really hard to hold this higher frequency and to become one mind. They are collective energy, they are collective consciousness, they're one mind. These individual beings, and there's many of them. So I respect that. So the Ascension Masters are working with us as a collective, and they usually work with people who are holding the frequency for the ascension, who are also sharing certain things. And we have to raise our frequency pretty high in order to work with these beings. And look, don't make that a goal. Please don't make that a goal for your life. If you had told me that I had to make that my goal to work with these ascension masters, I would say, oh, I've got to do this. So my ego would get involved and would mess everything up. They came to me. I didn't go to them. Okay. So just be open to it. And I don't believe that anybody's special. No one is special. I'm not special. They're not special. We're all just in this together. And especially humans. We put people on pedestals. We want people, we follow people like, what do they have to say? They know everything. They don't. They don't. They are here to help you. So please discern what everyone says, including me. Please discern that. Okay, so as the Ascension Masters and other, let's call them otherworldly beings, maybe these beings who are, maybe the Arcturians or the Lyrans, these or maybe the Palladians, depending on where your belief systems are, they are also helping us with the ascension, right? So we're in this together. They are part of our ascension frequency. They are part of our ascension experience. So we've incarnated here at this time to be part of the ascension. Wow. And if you want to leave this earth plane, you're kind of done with like the fear, the anger, the hurt, the pain, take a moment and start seeing the blessings of being here during a time that the frequency is super high and we have some amazing availability to us that we never have had before, ever have had before. So now all these beings that are helping us ascend, they're doing it. Why? Why would they be doing it? Somebody told them to? No. Are they doing it? They think that it might like look good on their resume? No, they're doing it to be of service. So in respect, we also have to ask ourselves, how am I being of service? I was just on a forum locally for Sedona, and people are complaining about this thing, about tourists, about all these no houses, everybody can't afford things. And that vibration, I sat there and I was like, how is this being of service? They saw it as being of service. They are saying, we need to change this, but they're complaining. So, what is it that they need to do to help others to, maybe stop complaining? Complaining is a really low vibe, man. Complaining is a low vibe. And hey, do you? I don't believe that you should be something you're not. So if complaining makes you feel better today, then go for it. But you have to understand that you are sitting in a collective understanding. And in order to be part of the ascension, it's about raising the frequency. So complaining, if you complain about your mother, if you're complaining about the situation around you, you're in a lower vibration. That's all there is to it. These other beings, they're helping us raise our frequency. We also have to help each other without judgment. We have to help each other without hurt, without trying to make our opinion or beliefs matter to other people or to be validated that I believe this and you believe that. Like you need to validate what my belief systems are. That's also from the ego. Don't try to validate when somebody says to you, I'm feeling really hurt or angry. Yes, validate their feelings. But what happens is we want to have people validate that my belief is okay, or what I'm saying about complaining about traffic is okay. I want you to validate that that belief is good. That's okay. And when you do these things, you're holding a lower frequency. So we want to help each other out. So how could we help each other? The Ascension Masters, the Ascended Masters, the planetary beings, they are all helping us with the ascension, but we need to help each other too. We're just as responsible for ourselves, what we hold, what frequency we hold, and how we're putting energy out into the world. So how can we help each other? Be of service. Instead of saying, getting upset and trying to tell somebody that their belief is wrong and yours is right, instead of doing that, send love to them and just say, I see where that is important to you, and I understand that, or I validate that that's really important to you. I see it a little bit differently, but that's okay. Like that's why we're all human. We get to experience different things. So do you see the difference between like holding really tightly onto a belief system and wanting everybody else outside of you to validate? Most likely you want that validation. You don't feel loved. Unfortunately, that's probably part of it. So we're connecting with the Ascension Masters. We're connecting to the Ascended Masters, Ascension energy. We are also responsible for that. Okay? Does that make sense? So the last thing I want to talk about really briefly is all about the energy codex that's coming through. Part of the ascension that's happening is coming through in light code energy. That does not mean light like you turn on and off a light. It is a frequency. These codes are they are encoded. It's a codex. It's encoded with glyphs, which are like wisdom and frequencies and these energy matrices. Okay. These codes are coming through photons from the sun, through the galactic alignments. So certain galactic alignments, these codes come through. These codes are also coming through the energy of other planetary systems. These codexes are also coming through the galaxies and the stars themselves, and through other dimensions. Okay, so it's from all over, multi-dimensional, let's call them. Basically, these light codes come through in a geometric, a very clear geometric pattern and energy. So, like this picture back here that I have, that is to me how I see these light code sacred geometric energy systems. Now, I want you to understand that that is a two-dimensional picture. Does not give it justice, but it gives you some ideas. It's the depth of these light codes that are super important. It's like, so let's just say, for sake of our mind's eye to understand, think of that as like a sphere of energy, and it's multi-dimensional, multi-layered. And right now, let's just say it's about as big as my room, 12 feet by 15 feet, right? So it's that big. That is a smaller light code activation. The larger ones are as big as larger than our planet. Okay. But they are all a matrix. And yes, the matrix is real, at least my belief system. You don't have to believe it. The matrix of this, these sacred geometric shapes, all have these rods of energy. They create the grid. So it's a grid of energy. That grid shifts through and starts to activate all the bodies, mental, physical, emotional bodies, right? So it starts to activate these bodies, starts to activate your DNA sequencing, starts to activate your higher consciousness to be able to connect more into your physicality, right? Bringing more of your higher consciousness into your light, into your life and your, yeah, I said light. I mean life and your light. They are energetic codexes. So how I see it is that thing, three-dimensional, is activating certain energies. And it's not a straight line. And sometimes it's a spiral of energy. And my book, I actually, you might not see it clearly in this picture here, but that book has a spiral in it. They showed me that everything comes through in spirals, and how important the spiral really is as a frequency. So it comes in through a spiral, and it can come through as a light code, like direct, right through. So these light code activations are activating our DNA sequencing, also our frequency. These light codes aren't a right or wrong thing. They're not a, I got the better light codes and you didn't get those light codes. It's not at all like that. So that don't push yourself in that little human ego box. The light codes are activated through these energies. We are ready. It won't activate someone who is holding a lower frequency and can't open up to the higher frequencies of these light codes. It can't happen for them. But they may come through, like let's say they're in an activation and they're being activated in a course, like the things that I teach. If they get activated, it could sit dormant in the DNA, and then it will open up later to these activations. A lot of people, they're being activated naturally, And it's usually as you raise your frequency and as you're available to these frequencies and as the galactic energy shifts. Sometimes it might be sealed off, or you may close yourself off. You may resist the frequency change, and that's okay. Sometimes you might just be a little bit resistant and you're like, I'm just not ready right now. And this isn't consciously. I know consciously you say, oh no, I want them all, I want them all. But subconsciously, that's not what's happening. You're just subconsciously just not ready. And don't worry, when you are ready, it will be available to you. It's not like it won't happen for you. So don't stress about that, right? So our ego tries to give this talk about like what you should do, what you shouldn't do, what's good, what's bad. Don't give the ego that much power, please. So all this light code frequency. Remember again, it is not a light, like turn on and off the light. I don't see it like that. Sometimes I see it come through like a crystalline structure, and it looks very like a 3D, like a 3D snowflake or something like that, right? So it's a different structure. So it always looks different. And sometimes it comes through as a wave, as maybe a spiral. Sometimes it comes through a wave that goes like that. They're all legitimate light code activations. That's just different ways that I've seen them. And that's just a few of the ways that I've seen them. And sometimes we need different frequencies. So, and as individuals, they'll come through as different frequencies. And as a collective, maybe we're in the energy of moving into more of our heart center as an individual. So new frequencies will come through that will help activate our spiritual heart a little bit more, right? And then, or align our energy a little bit better, our chakra system. So all of these codexes are very clearly connected to the individual. As a collective, it's happening in a different way. It's activating the energy of the wholeness, meaning it's activating the earth, all the earth's body, physical, mental, emotional earth bodies, maybe even the multidimensional frequencies that are connected to the earth, and the humans on the earth, and the plants and animals and fairy realm and other frequencies of the earth, right? So it's activating the wholeness. Very important. It's activating the wholeness. Some people say that the earth has already hit 5D, and I see where they're getting that information, and that is part of it. But we, as a collective, part of that 5D earth energy, there's still a 3D piece of that earth still in the frequency. We're hitting a whole new cycle of energy as a collective. So these solar flares are hugely responsible for some of our activations. And they sometimes knock us off center. They sometimes affect, especially empaths, which most spiritual people are empaths. It will affect us in a way that we might feel a little like stressed or tensed, or we're not really sure what to do with all this energy around us. Breathe through it, go into your heart. That's the best thing to do that. So these light codes, they come through waves. So we're going to go into a little tiny piece of quantum physics, my easy to understand version, since I'm not a physicist in any way. But there's in the quantum realm, there's a particle and a wave. The particle is a piece of matter. The wave is the energy. And they have proven in the vacuum of a quantum experiment, in quantum experiments, that until the observer looks at it, that particle and wave are in the potential state. So it's always in a potential energy. So are we. We are the quantum, we are the larger quantum experience and expression. Ooh, it's crazy, right? So we're in the potential state of being a particle or a wave. So are we getting too grounded into matter, or are we allowing the energy to flow? So in the quantum vacuum, there's a particle and there's a wave. So the light codes also come through as waves and as particles. The particles are an energetic matter, and it's the potential of those particles. And sometimes I'll see like a particle, like I said before, like a snowflake 3D, very intricate, graphic, geometric shape, very complicated. Sometimes it has like square edges, doesn't always have to be round. People assume roundness, but I've seen it where it shoots off in different directions. You know, there's no right or wrong way for it to look. Okay. But then I've seen, like, let's say something like that, 3D, and then I've seen waves and of spirals pushing it through the person's energy body, and it will start doing certain activations. But the particle itself needs to be connected to the wave. The wave is the energy that activates it. I know that sounds a little complicated, but don't stress about it. It's just interesting how I see it. That's all. But it's important for you to understand that there is no right or wrong way, that you are in an energy of really connection with all of this, and that you're available to it. This is what's going to raise your consciousness, and this is what's going to hold you at a higher frequency. So these activations are happening naturally. I also do courses in these activations, and I'm actually going to be doing a very particular, very long-term clear activation course, and it's invite only. So if you're interested, let me know. You can contact me if you're interested in doing my longer. I'm capping it at like 10 people. Anyway, we are here to be activated, and we're here to hold a higher frequency. And these activations, man, whew, whoa, they hold such a high frequency. It's amazing what they do. So these waves and particles, geometric energies, these solar flares, the galactic alignments, they're all assisting us. The Ascension Masters, the Ascended Masters, they're all assisting us in our ascension. And so are you. You are assisting us in everyone's ascension process. And the beauty of that is that you have this amazing possibility and potential. And it has nothing to do with what you do in your world. It's not the work you do, it's who you're being that matters. So be the higher frequency, be aware, don't spiritually bypass. And also, if anyone in this world, I feel like I need to leave you with this ascension experience. If anyone in this world around you needs to be validated, or their beliefs need to be validated, or your beliefs are different from theirs, and you want to validate your beliefs, take a moment and ask yourself, is this really going to help me in my ascension? Is this really going to help them to raise their frequency? Is this really going to help the collective? I'm of service through love and light. I'm of service through heart frequency. So I send you so much love.